All right, so for section 2.6, we're going to talk about function notation. Now, function notation is used so that we know what numbers to plug in. So normally, when we would write down equations, so I'm going to kind of put this right here. Normally, it looks like this. We would write y equal to 2x minus 3, or y equal to x squared minus 4x, right? Just writing basic equations, we would just use the letter y, okay? Now, if someone told you, okay, can you plug in a 3 into one equation, then you would just plug it in, right? But with function notation, and by the way, what we're about to write down right now, this is basically the whole lesson right here, like in the next two little things. And then we're just going to practice some problems and I'll give them to you so you can try to finish the homework in class. But with function notation, we change y to f of x. You guys remember learning that, like maybe 7th, 8th grade? They're like, oh, y is equal to f of x, right? Like they would say the function can be rewritten like this. Okay, so f of x equal to x squared minus 4x. Okay, and the reason why we did that is so that it can be a little bit more obvious what we're doing. So, it's used for plugging in numbers. Okay, so why use f of x? Okay, like why do we use f of x? The reason is because it is easier to see what number we plug in. Okay, it's easier to see what number we plug in. So for example, let's take the very top little equation, f of x equal to 2x minus 3. If I were to tell you, plug in a 4, then you can tell what number you're plugging in because you would write f of 4. It's not f times 4. You're basically saying plug in the number 4. And then you would go in and write 2 times 4 minus 3. That would be 8 minus 3. So it's 5. This is what your homework is going to look like for the most part. They are going to try to make it a little bit more difficult here and there by what they make you plug in. And we'll go over some of these things. But it's basically this. You're just plugging stuff in. And they want you to show them what you're plugging in by using the function notation. Okay? So it's not meant to be difficult for sure. It's just kind of like, all right, here's what it looks like. Plug it in. Let's see what you get. Now, it doesn't necessarily have to be f of x. It can be h of x, k of x, m of x, t of x. It doesn't matter. It doesn't even have to be an x. It can be f of y or s of t. Okay, they can write it however they want. So just a couple different ways that you may see it might look like this. So we see f of x. You might see like a g of x or a k of x. Sometimes they'll use like s of t, where t is your variable. Okay, m of n, where n is your variable. Again, it doesn't matter. It's just a way that they're writing the problem. Okay, it's just a name for it. So they'll give it for you. So right here I can see they have like k of n, g of n, g of x, p of x, f of n, right? They're just changing it around. It just depends on what variables in the equation. All right? So let me show you some of these things. And again, these are going to be homework problems for you guys. So make sure you write these things down. So example number 1. So we're just going to evaluate. In other words, just simplify or plug a number in and solve. Okay? So we'll start off with this one. G of n is equal to 3n minus 4. So notice instead of having g of x, 3x minus 4, it's g of n, which is 3n minus 4. And it says find g of negative 3. In other words, plug in a negative 3 and just solve it. Okay? Plug in a negative 3 and just solve it. So g of negative 3 is 3 times negative 3 minus 4. Okay? Well, 3 times negative 3 is negative 9. And negative 9 minus 4 is negative 13. And that's it. Like, this is your homework right here. It looks like that. Some of it. Not everything, but some of it. Okay? So it's not going to be like, oh my gosh, every problem takes forever. Like, just plug numbers in and you're going to be good. Let me give you another one. Just so you can kind of see how they'll change it around for you guys again. P of x is equal to x squared minus 2. Find, whoops, that's not a F, that's a P. Find P of 10. So all they want me to do is get a number 10 and plug it into my problem. Okay? So P of 10 is equal to 10 squared minus 2. What's 10 squared? 100. So 100 minus 2, so that's 98. And we're done. Okay? And I see some people kind of smirking a little bit. Yeah, it's that easy at first, right? Later on, they're going to make you do a little bit different stuff. But we'll get to that right now. Now, one more of these, and then we'll move on to a different thing here. Remember, all you're doing is plugging things in, okay? So P of n. So instead of P of x, they're going to give me P of n. Again, this is a problem for you guys. 0.5 absolute value of n minus 1.9 absolute value n's. And they want me to find P of negative 7.6. Now you might say, well, hold on, that's a little bit tougher. I can't do that in my head. That's okay. It says round to the nearest hundred, so most likely you're using a calculator. All right, so right now we'll bring out a calculator for this. So I'm going to be plugging in P of negative 7.6. Okay, so P of negative 7.6 is equal to 0.5 absolute value of negative 7.6 minus 1.9, and I got to solve that. So let me get out my calculator. All right, so everybody's calculator is going to look a little different, right? So I'm going to type in the inside first, okay? Negative 7.6 minus minus 1.9. I'm going to hit enter. It gave me a negative 9.5. So 0, this is negative 9.5. Okay, the absolute value of negative 9.5 is 9.5, right? So 0.5 times 9.5. And now let me just get that answer. So 9.5 times, 9.5 times 0.5. 4.75. So it said, the instruction said round to the nearest hundredths. How many decimals is, or how many place values is that after the decimal? That's what I'm trying to say. 2, right? Well, I happen to have 2 already, so I'm good, right? But if my answer was, let's say, 4.7683, then this would round it. Okay, it would make it a 4.76. Okay, if it was a 4.753, then the 3 would not round it, right? You need 4. Okay, my wife tells this to her Now, if you're wondering, when did we learn to round? 3rd grade, okay? When we learned, because my wife is teaching this to her kids right now. Okay? So, 4 to the floor, that's what she tells them. So if it's 4 or below, 4 to the floor, in other words, round down. Okay? 5 up high, that's what she tells them. So, in case you didn't remember, but yeah, this is an old thing that we've done. Again, for us, it doesn't matter because it only gave us 2 numbers, so we're good. So you guys are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 7 of these, okay? At least in the front page. You're going to have 7 of those. 2 of these, where you're just using a calculator, punching it in, doing a calculator. Okay? Then they're going to give you 4 of the following. So this one's I'm going to create a different example because these look a little different. And then after we're done with this one, then we're going to do the ones with the graph so you can understand how that works. Okay? So evaluate. Same instructions. We're going to do the same exact thing. It's just going to look a little different. So check it out. If they give me this function, f of n equal to 2n minus 1, find f of 1 plus a. All right, so f of n is equal to 2n minus 1. Find f of 1 plus a. So before, all we did was we got the thing inside the parenthesis and we plugged it in, right? That's all we would do. I would get, if it said f of 2, I'd get the 2 and I plug it in and I solve, right? If they said f of half, I'd get the half, plug it in, and that's it. Don't get scared with the way this looks, guys. We're going to do the exact same thing. We're just going to get the 1 plus a. That's what's inside the parenthesis, okay? We're going to get the 1 plus a, and we're going to plug it in where the variable is, okay? So look, it's going to look like this. F of 1 plus a is equal to 2 times 1 plus a. I'm just going to change the color so it's a little more obvious. There you go. I just plugged it in. Now work it out, right? So what's the process of multiplication right there? What is it called? Anybody remember when you multiply? Distribute. Yeah, it's called distribution, right? We're going to distribute like this. Okay? So that's 2 plus 2a minus 1. Now 2 minus 1 is 1. So there you go. Remember, I got my like terms. These like terms right here. 2 minus 1 becomes 1. And that's it. You're done. So don't let the fact that they're going to use letters scare you. You're just plugging them in, and you may have to distribute, or maybe you have to just add things up. So let me call this part A, just so we have it. Let me do one more of those. That way you have a couple of examples to look at. Let me see if everything requires multiplication. So here's one that doesn't require multiplication. H of t is equal to t plus 1. Find h of 3t. So h of t is equal to t plus 1. Find h of 3t. Remember, just because they're letters, it doesn't make it more difficult. It just means you're going to plug in something with letters in it, right? It's not just going to be like a 3. If I just had to plug in h of 3, my answer would be what? Anybody do it in your head? A 4, right? It'd be a 4. Great. But I'm not going to plug in just a 3. I'm going to plug in a 3t. So h of 3t is equal to, I'm going to put 3t in a parenthesis because that's what I'm plugging in, plus 1. Well, there's not much else for me to do. It's just 3t plus 1. So let me write that down. 3t plus 1. And that's it. I'm done. Okay? Oh, you mean where the h of 3t is? So you're wondering, why am I not multiplying h times 3t? Remember, the way we read it, this is h of 3t, not h times 3t. It's not a multiplication on the left side. It's a reference. It's basically saying I'm getting my h function and I'm plugging in the following. So you don't work anything on the left. And it's amazing because a lot of times I'll tell that to my classes, and even in calculus I still get kids who multiply that stuff out, and I'm like, no. This is a reference. This is like you saying, here's what I'm about to do. And then you do it on the right side, right? So it's just a reference for you. So yeah, don't multiply those out. Don't write 3th or anything like that. Yeah, good question. Did everybody understand the question? Anybody not hear it? The answer? So yeah, don't multiply the left side. That's just your reference. Like I'm about to do h of 2. So in other words, I'm plugging into my function, right? And then you do it on the right side. You do the work on the right. But yeah, your left side is basically like your title. I'm about to do this, right? You're giving me instructions. That's what you're doing. Okay? So thank you for that question. All right. So I mean, not too bad, right? So all right, let's get to the what they want to call the hard questions. Okay? And they're not terrible, but they do look a little weird. It has nothing to do with plugging anything in. How can I? Well, let me see. I'm going to put use the graph to solve. I'm going to draw a pretty big graph. At least a 5 by 5, I'm pretty sure. And we can do the rest of the examples with this one graph right here. Okay, so this is basically the end right here once we're done with this. Let me just take my time really quick just to make this look nice. Because you guys are going to get 4 graphs and answer 4 different questions. So I want to make sure we get enough practice for it. And like I told you guys earlier, you don't have to do any work. Literally, no work has to be done. You're just observing, and you're going to give them an answer. So I'm marking up my whole graph here just to try to make it a little bit easier. And I'm going to put a couple points, okay? I'm going to put a couple points. So here, put one there, here. We'll put one there and one here. So we're going to do 5 examples, okay? And these are going to be really quick, but sometimes some of the ones towards the end, they're a little weird for some people. So I want to make sure you guys are able to see it nice and clear. So we're going to use this graph to solve. And this is basically what they're going to do for you guys. I don't know if you guys can see from way back there, but just there's 4 graphs, and in these graphs there's a bunch of little dots everywhere, okay? And not all the dots get used, but they have tons of little dots, okay? So, first question. What is f of 3? What is f of 3? Now remember, that number 3, it's supposed to be f of x, right? That's what it's supposed to say, f of x. Well, they changed it to 3, so doesn't that mean that x equals 3? Right? Look at your graph. Go to where it says x equals 3. You see the point right above it? What's the y value on it? 1. That's your answer. 1. Because when you're plugging in f of 3, you're trying to find your y value. That's what you're doing. You're trying to find your y value. So f of 3 equals 1. Okay, it's this point right here. Why? Because that's the 3 right there. They're giving me the x value. They're saying, what's the y value for it? Okay, so let's do another one. We'll do a couple of these. We're or more than a couple. What is f of 5? What is f of 5? Say again?
-4.
-4. Because 5 is right here. That's 5. So I'm just going to go down to where the point is and look for my y value. It's -4. So my answer is -4. So f of 5 is -4. All right, we'll do one more of these and we're going to switch it up. Part C. What is f of 0? Say it again. -1. Thank you. Right? Because if you go to 0 on the x-axis, just find your point. It's right there at 0, -1. Your y value is -1. Okay? So whenever they tell you what is f of 3, what is f of -2, they're asking you, what's your y value? Okay? Now those are the easier ones of the two. Here are the ones that are considered the harder ones. Okay? So let me put D right here. If f of x equals -2, what is x? So remember for A, B, and C, how we were trying to find the y value, right? 1, -4, -1. Those were my y values. They gave me the x value, right? F of 3, f of 5, f of 0. They gave me x, but they didn't give me y, so I had to figure it out. Now they're saying, well, if y is -2, what is x? Where is the point where y is... oops, I missed it. Sorry. This is going to be messed up. I messed up on the point, on the number, I mean. It shouldn't be a -2. It should be a -3. I'm sorry about that. If f of x equals to -3, go ahead and fix that. Because -2 wouldn't work. So if y is -3, what is x? So what point has a -3 for y? What quadrant is it in? Well, you gave me the actual point. AJ gave me this point right here. -4, -3. Notice the y value is -3, right? And that's what they're saying. If f of x is -3, in other words, if your y value is -3, okay, what is x? So x would be -4. Okay, one last one and then we'll be done. Because I just want you guys to practice it a little bit before you actually get it. There's only 4 of these questions with only 4 questions. It's not like a bunch, A, B, C, D. No, it's just 1, 2, 3, 4, and you're done. So it doesn't take too long, but I want to make sure you guys get it. If f of x is 1, what is x? If f of x is 1, what is x? Can anybody give me that answer? Which one has a 1 as its y value? Say again? 3. Yeah, it's 3, 1, right? This point right here, 3, 1, notice the y value is 1. So you're just going to write x equals 3. Now, just a real... so let me go ahead and stop right here, and I'll give you your homework in a bit.